is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It's Thursday, September 12th, 2019, season 15, episode number 42. Welcome to another edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and we're going to talk a little bit of Washington defense today. Dave has his normal scouting report on these guys, probably the better part of their team, I would guess, but we'll talk about that as we get into the show. We'll also get into some injury updates. How's everybody feeling this morning?
Great. Wow. No, I feel amazing.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for bringing the energy.
I'm good, great, grand, wonderful, ready to go to our nation's capital, watch some football.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel good too. I was listening to some reggaeton earlier.
Some what?
Reggaeton.
What's that?
Reggaeton.
It's a genre
Tell me what it is.
of music.
I don't know.
Okay,
How do you
got it.
describe it? I don't know. It just makes you move your whole body.
All right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was music or
It's music,
art or
yeah.
something else. Okay,
Listening.
good. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. So it's music.
So I feel good right now. Yes.
All right, cool. Were you doing any dancing or just listening?
No.
Just listening.
Yeah.
All right. How are you, Nick?
I'm great.
You good?
Yes.
You look like you're intently reviewing some notes so that you're ready to tell us some amazing things about this matchup between the Cowboys and the Redskins.
No, but I'll get there. I'm sure I'll come up with something here.
You know what we haven't done in a long time?
Yeah, I went to Six Flags. I don't know. What?
I went over the 4th of July.
We haven't had a story time with Nick in a long time. You got any stories from the Redskins
From the
that maybe you
Redskins.
want to? Yeah, you could think about it. We could get to it later if you
I
want to
just
get to it later.
actually was working on a top 10 list of like the best wins ever in Washington.
Uh-huh.
And so I was working on that. And yeah, it always takes me back to my very first game with the team in 1999 when they were down 21 points in the
Remember
fourth
that
quarter.
game,
Came
yeah.
back and won in overtime. That was good. But you know what I had to put on the list was Dak's first win up there. You know, they're 0-1. What's going to happen here? You know, the Giants, you know, is he the right quarterback for this job? You know, they lost the first game, and then it's going to Washington. Dez is saying he wants the ball more, blah, blah, and all of a sudden he goes out there and then wins the game and just wins 10 more after that in a row. So I thought it was an interesting win.
I do think, and I actually wrote about that this morning, this is the exact same thing that happened in 16. Home game against the Giants, road trip to play Washington, back-to-back to start the season. Doesn't really mean anything, but it's an interesting coincidence.
Yeah. All right, let's get some updates on some injuries yesterday. We find out there were 3 players that did not participate in practice. That was Tavon Austin with a concussion. We mentioned that yesterday. Tyrone Crawford, who we didn't talk about, has a hip injury. And then Luke Gifford, as has been the case, continues to have an ankle injury. Talk to me about Tyrone Crawford. I think that's the one that was most interesting, caught my eye, because I hadn't really heard a whole lot about that before.
Well, it's the same injury he's had all offseason with the hip, so I would assume it's the same one. But I think it's more a precautionary thing, just to kind of, hey, let's give him a day. You know, let's don't just overload him. He was out there today. I would imagine
He was back today.
I would imagine he'll be. And it may be listed as limited.
I think it's something to watch. Maybe that's going to be a Wednesday thing. Again, I think you're going to see this. We didn't talk about it last week because it happened after the show, but Sean Lee didn't practice last Friday for no reason other than just to limit the wear and tear, keep him off his feet.
Right.
He obviously played. I think you're going to see that a lot this year where it's just, they do vet days in training camp. I think they're going to be doing that in the season this year. I don't know if that's what that was for Tyrone because he is still coming back off of that hip surgery, so
He kind of had a vet day in the game.
Wow.
Sean Lee.
I was like, damn, he just
Right. I was about to say,
I'm
we're
just
going to
saying,
jump right in like that.
16
Okay.
snaps.
16 snaps
for Sean Lee.
He's the Sam. He's the Sam linebacker. It's
Yeah, I mean, is that different than what your expectations were for his role in this team this year?
No, not
kinda
really.
what you expected,
it's
right?
just what it is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is limiting him on Friday and limiting him on Sunday. It's Sean Lee.
Yeah. It does become a little bit curious as to why you would need to give him vet days if his role on game days is so limited, which it looks like it is.
He's 32 years old, I think. I don't keep him. I don't care. Whatever. Keep him fresh.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm curious if typically, like we always say, like if you're up and moving around on Thursday, it means good things for Sunday. But keep an eye on Tyrone. Tavon Austin was not at practice
Again today?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm making mental preparations to play without him on Sunday.
Another guy. What? One catch.
You know,
he played. He was out there. He was doing stuff. He was the guy doing a lot of those jet sweep reverses.
He had one catch for 8 yards, but I am intrigued by what we saw from him because he was doing a lot of the jet action. He was the guy looping through the backfield on the fake handoffs all the time. They moved him around the formation. That would be great. Like. I think you said it Monday. Like they're going to have to do that to get defenses to honor it. So,
yeah.
And, I mean, he's not healthy. He's probably not going to play. But when he is healthy, if he could give me 1 to 2 catches a game and a couple carries and be part of that, that's awesome. That's what I want from him. I mean, I don't want him to be this major part of the offense because he hasn't proven he's able to do that. But he could be a really fun kind of gadget guy.
But I would love for Pollard to be that.
What about Jordan Lewis?
As you start to see Zeke kind of work more into the offense to where he is getting the bulk of the carries, unlike this last weekend, I would love to see Pollard take on that kind of role of using him like that. You know,
what do we always say about these coaches, though?
I get it. I'm saying what I would like to see.
I'm
not holding my breath.
You may in time. You may in time. But like I mean, it's pretty. They don't trust him to pick up a blitz on third down. That's why Jameis Olawale was in there as much as he was. So.
Well, this takes that away though. If he's lining up in the slot.
But what I'm saying is, if they don't trust him to stand in the backfield and deal with pressure, then they probably don't trust him to be doing 18. Because Tavon was doing a lot of stuff. He was lining up in a lot of different places, moving around. Like
Tavon didn't block.
I think that is different, though. I think of that as different because I think picking up the blitz is not just about trusting him to know it. It's also trusting him to be able to have the physical capabilities to be able to take on a linebacker that's coming at him full blast.
I just don't think they want to put a lot on his plate right now. That's my impression.
Well, I think they drafted him to do that. They drafted him to do those kind of things, and I think Tavon was doing it and not staying in the block. So there's different. I think when Zeke's out there, whatever the role that Tavon had, I'd like to see Pollard do it. I think he can handle that. Maybe he can't handle a blitzing linebacker,
right?
But he did it in the game. I asked you, I was like, "Is he okay?" Because I mean, like he was down there.
It didn't look like he was going to be okay.
It wasn't favorable.
Yeah, but that's part of the thing too of getting in the NFL and building up some strength and some confidence to take on that blitzing linebacker. That's not always easy.
Well, I mean, you guys are talking about injured guys coming back and maybe their roles. I know a lot of people, and during the Periscope yesterday with Brian, you still see a lot of people concerned about Zach Martin and his back and what's going on there. Do you guys ever see a possibility of them just kind of rotating him out with Xavier Sofilo to maybe kind of protect him throughout the season, his wear and tear? Since, last weekend they took him out, but obviously they had a lead, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
I don't see that. I see him getting vet days and things like we were talking about to limit the wear on him in practice, but Zach Martin is...
Not during game day.
He's in that class of player that, like, if he can go, first of all, he's like Jason Witten in the sense that he doesn't want to come off the field assuming the game is in doubt. And then he's that good that... Xavier Su'a-Filo has played well at times for this team, but like the drop off from Zach Martin to him is pretty steep. And if he's healthy enough to play, then he's healthy enough to play all the time.
Yeah, and
that's how I see it.
That's just also something that you don't tend to see around the NFL very much because offensive lines play as units, and so they don't necessarily want to rotate like they do at other positions.
Yeah.
It's kind of like quarterback in the NFL. In college they'll do it some, but in the NFL, that's just not something that teams traditionally do. Doesn't mean they can't. I don't see the Cowboys doing that again, like Dave said, for one of their best players. But in addition to that, just because it does create issues of continuity with your offensive line if you're kind of rotating guys in and out, I think.
No, I agree. Just throwing possibilities out
absolutely.
there, for fans that keep asking about him.
And they may get to a point in the season where, if his back continues to be a problem for him, they might get to a point in the season where they have to give him a week. We saw that a few years ago with Tyron where, he kind of it was something that was lingering, and then it got to a point where they just had to give him a break. And so that could happen. I think that's the whole reason why you keep a guy like Xavier Su'a-Filo is because you have confidence in the fact that he's a veteran that can step in when you need him. And so I think that the Cowboys are in a pretty good position there. But, yeah, I think that's the extent of it is if Zach has to come out, you got
Keep going
a suitable
until you
replacement.
All indications are positive. Like, he came out because they were up by 25. He's practicing this week.
He's limited yesterday, which is great. Last week he was not practicing on Wednesday, right?
And that's just going to be a thing. You know, and it bothers people to see the word limited, and I understand that, but it's for his own good. They're trying to limit the stress they put on him when it doesn't count.
That actually seems to be an improvement that he's limited this week. All right. Real quick, before we go to our first break, I did also want to mention Darian Thompson and Donovan Wilson, both limited in practice yesterday. They have been out of practice, so hopefully that's a good sign for both of them.
Yeah, and I got the sense Thompson's probably going to be active this week if he can go. He had the high ankle sprain a few weeks ago, but just looking at special teams and and they're working on with kickoff return, I could see him being up there this week. I don't know about Wilson though.
If he comes back, okay, whenever that is, Wilson comes back, what happens then? What do you think the guys do?
Well, that's a good question because Robert Quinn's coming back next week from suspension, and somebody's going to have to be moved off the roster. Maybe it's defensive end or line. Maybe it's a safety. Maybe if Thompson and Wilson are back, maybe Kayvon Frazier's the guy. I don't know, though.
You typically get a roster exemption in that situation, right? Or
through the early part of the week? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, until you move them.
Right. I'm wondering. The reason I ask is he had a broken hand. He didn't practice for the latter part of training camp, and he's been out for 2 weeks. So do they just plug him right back onto the 53 the minute he gets here?
That's a good question.
What are the options?
If they get a roster exemption, they can just carry him for a week, and he's allowed to be here, but he doesn't count on the 53. He can't suit up.
But
he can
be here. He can
be
practice
here
and go to meetings.
Right.
Okay.
So, which maybe I should ask around.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, they got a roster exemption for Zeke. I don't know if they'll get one.
Yeah.
And
we haven't talked much about his injured hand, so maybe the injured hand isn't quite ready.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Getting ahead of
ourselves. You think it's ready?
I mean, just judging off the fact that typically that injury is maybe 1 week. I mean, DeMarco Murray, I think, played with it. Emmitt Smith might have missed a game with it. But for the most part, he clubbed that thing up.
What was Orlando Scandrick's? Was it similar? Remember where he had something with his hand?
Yeah, I think he had surgery or something? I think he had a finger. I might be misremembering that.
But I remember he came back pretty soon, and his injury looked nasty. So.
I would guess that Robert Quinn is okay, but he's still. I mean, he hasn't practiced in probably a month.
Yeah.
So
they've got to cut a defensive end there.
You would think.
Yeah. That's just too many people there.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have Taco and Tristan Hill that's inactive. I can't imagine adding another one in there.
All right, let's go ahead and take first break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Washington defense, dive in a little bit about that defensive front. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The excitement of Dallas Cowboys football is back at AT&T Stadium.
The place is going crazy in Arlington, Texas.
Texas. Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys live when they host their NFC East rivals, the Eagles, Giants, and Redskins, plus the Green Bay Packers and more.
Elliott works his way through and walks the dog.
Single game tickets are on sale now. Get them before they're gone.
First and goal, quarterback sneak. Prescott pushes up the middle. Touchdown.
Visit DallasCowboys.com to get your tickets today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at Star. Let's talk about this Washington defense, Dave. Let's break down what you saw as you started looking and watching their film from last week that would be applicable for this matchup versus the Cowboys.
The Washington defense, or as I like to call them, the Alabama Crimson Tide, because they're everywhere.
Are they?
Yes, they have 5 Alabama players on their defense alone. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Sean Dion Hamilton, Ryan Anderson, and Landon Collins all played for the Tide. Okay. So, needless to say, they got a lot of talent. They've spent a lot of lofty draft picks on their D-line. Payne, first-round pick. Allen, first-round pick. Anderson, I believe, was a second. It's right in front of me. I don't know why I say believe. Second-round pick. Sean Dion Hamilton, sixth-round pick. Not so much. Landon Collins was obviously a high second-round pick. He came over from the Giants. He didn't go to Alabama, but I think they might have gotten one of the steals of the draft in Montez Sweat, the Mississippi State pass rusher, arguably the best in the draft, who fell all the way to mid-second round because of a irregularity with his heartbeat or something like that. So they have a lot of talent, and a lot of it played in the SEC. Fortunately for the Cowboys, Allen looks like he's not going to play. He sprained his MCL in that game against the Eagles. And you could tell, because their run defense just kind of fell apart as soon as he left, at least by their standards. The Eagles ran for 130, 4 yards per carry. Not crazy, but his front's been pretty good over the last couple years. Like, Allen specifically, he wrecked them last year in both games. They won one of them, but he was just a one-man wrecking crew. So it's big that he's not going to be there.
At what point in the game did Allen go out?
First half. Second quarter.
Was there a noticeable difference in their run defense from when he was in it at first to when he left?
How do I want to answer that? It didn't just completely, It not right away, but as the game went on, second half, classic. The Eagles are on the field for the entire thing, and all of a sudden, where you hadn't been seeing it, 19 yards, 12 yards, 6 yards. Yep. That's classic. And like I said, I don't know, 4 yards per carry isn't some insane number, but they were just consistently having success, and a lot of it happened later in the game when Allen wasn't there. Yep. They still have talented guys. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch in the trenches, and that's really the whole thing for me. Because my big note here, I don't think their cornerbacks are good. That's what I wrote down while I was watching tape. Josh Norman's still there. I think he's still a good player, but I don't think he's what he was 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. They have Quentin Dunbar, who's limited by a knee injury right now. He was getting torched. And Landon Collins and Monte Nicholson. Landon Collins is a great player, but he's not like this coverage stud. He's a box safety. He's versatile. He gets tackles for loss. He does all that stuff. But Earl Thomas, he's not. So I think this is a really favorable matchup for the Cowboys' passing game. But can their offensive line hold off the front seven long enough to make that happen? Because Ryan Kerrigan is a stud. That's Lyle Collins' problem to deal with.
I was bringing a play yesterday with Brian, and he just pushed him like he was nothing.
LC told me last year, he's like, that's like the biggest challenge I face every year. And not trying to throw shade, but he was like Von Miller, Khalil Mack, those guys are great, but Kerrigan gives me fits more than they ever did. Because not only is he a good pass rusher, but he's so physical, and his motor is so relentless. Add him to Deron Payne, who's, like the Vince Wilfork, just space eating, taking on two guys at once, cleaning things up for your linebackers. That's what I'm watching, is how Connor Williams and Travis Frederick deal with him. I mean, Zach Martin I don't worry about as much, but how do you deal with Deron Payne just trying to wreck the inside of your offensive line, basically? Yep. you want me to just keep talking?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Brian Broaddus had probably talked about this on the other show. He's absolutely in love with a linebacker by the name of Cole Holcomb, who is from North Carolina. He's a rookie, and he started. So, 5th-round pick starting for a defense with this much talent on it. I understand why.
He was a guy Brian loved coming out of college.
Loved him. And the Cowboys loved him. Ben Bloom was very sad that he was, first of all, not a Cowboy, and on top of that, playing in the division.
Mm-hmm.
He's slippery. He gets through the trash. Got a really high motor. Never takes a play off. Just
Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Finds his way to the ball. No, but he's a really good player. Like he gets through blocks. He gets to the ball. Knife. I love the word knife. Knifes into the backfield. So that's something to watch. I didn't see, and it's his first game. I didn't see anything from Sweat from a pass rushing perspective, but he is a very active player. Like he had 5 tackles. He got off his blocks. He stopped several runs for 2 and 3 yards instead of letting them go longer. So that's going to be something fun to watch. That's probably Tyron Smith's guy, which I like that matchup a lot. I mean, he is a first-round pick, but a rookie going against Tyron. Yeah. Give the edge to the vet.
They did only have 1 sack in that game, so
right.
For as much passing as the Eagles did.
And it was a long, drawn-out play. Wentz was like he stood back there, then tried to step up, and it was a guy. For all the talent, it was a guy I've never heard of before. I can't even find him on the depth chart.
Who are you?
Yeah, seriously, McKenzie, Casanova McKenzie. Not familiar with his work, but he got the
if
one
you got
sack.
that name, Casanova, you better be careful.
I'm a John Casanova.
Be aware, you know?
Landon Collins is probably always going to be down near the line. Loaded box. That's. Yep. I mean, we talked about that when he was with the Giants for years.
Bring it.
No, so that's my point. Is if I had to guess, and I'm not a coach, but I wonder how that, and I asked DeMarcus Ware this last night on the Happy Hour podcast, after watching what Dak did in week 1, how did the Redskins respond? Because their strength is to try to play big boy football and shut down the run game. Is that what they're going to do here, or are they going to try to redirect and worry about the passing game and say, well, we'll take our chances with a light box and maybe Zeke is going to have some success? I can't really see that happening.
I can't either.
I think teams are going to make the Cowboys prove that they can do that on a regular basis.
As they should.
As they should, for sure. Yeah. So I expect to see Landon Collins down there. I expect to see them really focusing on limiting the ground game. I hope that's what happens because I think this is a favorite. Seeing what we saw from Cooper and Gallup and Cobb, I think this is a really favorable matchup against those cornerbacks. I don't think very much of them. I just don't.
I was going to ask the question, what is the weakness of this defense? Is it the cornerbacks? Is it the defensive backs?
One game, but I wasn't impressed by what I saw. And Monte Nicholson, he's an active player. They blitzed him in this game. He comes down near the line a lot too. But again, I'm not scared of them in terms of their coverage abilities, either one of them. Norman, Alshon Jeffrey turned him around 2 or 3 different times. I'm just if that's your best corner, I like Amari Cooper's odds there, and I definitely like Michael Gallup's odds going against Jimmy Moreland and Quentin Dunbar. I think those are really favorable matchups. So let's see how the offensive line plays, because if they were as good as they were in week 1, then Dak should be just fine. If Kerrigan is pushing Lyle Collins back into Dak's face, or if Deron Payne is just blowing up double team blocks and Dak has no time, that's where the problem comes from.
Yeah. So they gave up 2 40-plus yard passes to Deshaun Jackson. Was that more about Deshaun Jackson's speed, or was it just the cornerbacks were just bad?
Deshaun Jackson's speed.
Okay.
Josh Norman gave both of them. I think it was the same play, honestly, because they were both trips formation to the right, and D-Jax was in the slot. And Josh Norman was 10, 15 yards off the line, and it didn't matter. He just got behind him. Which
we've seen that before. Deshaun Jackson is a rare breed.
He is a rare breed, but I definitely would try that with Gallup or Cooper. I mean, they're pretty fast.
Yeah.
They're not slow.
Right.
So, and I think there's plays to be made there.
All right, let's go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, we got some questions rolling in from some fans. We'll get to those questions. If you want to send them, you can send it to me on Twitter at Derek Eagleton, and we'll take those questions for you, and we'll answer them here on the air. We'll be right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS One score, September 2018.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crockpot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to the break.
Join us for the first official Dallas Cowboys away game watch party presented by AT&T this Saturday, September 15th. Enjoy a festive game day atmosphere on the Tostitos Championship Plaza at the Star in Frisco. The Cowboys take on the Redskins. It's free and open to the public. Activities include a live DJ, autograph opportunities, and more. For more information, go to thestarinfrisco.com.
Make sure you check it out if you're here in the local area. Dallas, Fort Worth, Frisco, Plano, any of the surrounding cities. Make sure you check it out.
Any of the 37 cities that make this place
I knew something didn't add up right there. I knew Saturday was not. It's Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday,
yeah.
September. It says Saturday. Sorry, Saturday, yeah. September 15th. It's Sunday, September the 15th.
Yes, on Sunday for the game.
Happy birthday, Mom.
It'll be a noon kick time, so make sure you get out here, check it out. We'll actually be doing our pregame show from the plaza, so Brian and Lindsay Cash Draper will be out there.
Brian Broaddus.
You say plaza?
Did I say the plaza?
I say plaza.
Plaza? Plaza?
You say pajamas or pajamas?
Pajamas.
Who says pajamas?
Somebody.
I say pajamas. Right. I say plaza.
You want me to sing Ella Fitzgerald next?
No,
okay.
I don't.
All right.
We're going to take some questions. You guys hit us up. Actually, we can also, I think, take phone calls. Caden, I think we're set up for that. 888-855-2297 is the number. So give us a shout there. We'll also take some questions here from Twitter. We'll start first with a question from Brian Stem. We didn't really talk about this coming off last week's game, but what did you guys think of Frederick in his first action back following the injury?
Didn't notice him. That's great.
That's a good thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
They did everything they wanted to do. He wasn't sacked. The red zone was perfect. Dak was perfect. Didn't see any snaps go over his head. Didn't see anything. Any penalties on him. I don't know how. I think he played. No, if you ask him, he probably said, "Oh, it was average," but that's just him.
I completely agree with everything you just said. Which we talked about it Monday, but Zach Martin has had seasons where he only got flagged twice.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how he builds on that. Will this injury, will that be a trend because he's bothered by his back, or is it just crappy luck or bad calls? Or
I thought they got him on a tripping. I thought that was a good call, and I always get surprised when the refs see that, because they zoomed in and they saw it. It was a good call by the refs, but the other one was a holding penalty that I'm still not sure they called it on the right guy, because I don't know if that was a holding on Zach, but Mickey didn't think so either.
The day Mickey agrees with a call against the Cowboys will be.
He was pretty quiet up there. He
sits
behind us next to Amber, and he was quiet. I mean, there was not. He'll get on the officials. From
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, he will. All right, let's take a question from Jake Benoist. He says, "Is Kerrigan versus Collins the biggest matchup of this week's game?"
I think it is.
It's a good one.
I really think it is. And like I said, Payne against Williams and Frederick and maybe Martin to some degree. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good left end. I think, Sweat's going to be a hell of a good player. He should be, but I'll take Tyron all day in that matchup in his second career NFL game. But like I said, LC has told me himself how much he hates going against that guy. Or not that he hates it, but that it's a tough matchup. So, and that's really, if Washington's going to have success, it's because Dak's not going to be comfortable. So yeah. I think it's huge.
I don't know if what one-on-one matchup this is, but whoever's got the responsibility of a guy like Chris Thompson, I could just see where the Redskins kind of can move the chain to keep things going. Keenum is a smart quarterback. He's going to find a way to get the ball out to him. I don't know who that is, if it's Xavier Woods, if it's Heath, if it's the linebackers, everybody. But Chris Thompson as a guy, I think could hurt him if they don't pay attention to him, and he just sneaks out with these screens and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of those kind of players that always scares me in a matchup like this, because they do have that ability to just kind of take something and turn it into a big gain. And it's hard sometimes to account for those guys, because it's not like a receiver that's going to just line up over here. Like they can move him around, they can do a lot of different things with him. They're going to be looking to create mismatches with him in favorable matchups. So right. I think that definitely is a player that I'll be watching a lot this Sunday.
Back to Kerrigan, we've seen Dak throw well when he's on the run. So I wonder if we're going to see him get out of the pocket and go to his left more to get kind of away and then take a little bit of extra time to complete those passes. But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, watching those plays against La'el Collins, he makes La'el Collins look like a little kid, like weak. And La'el is not weak. So we'll see how much strength he gained during this offseason.
It's going to be fun to watch. I'm sure you saw it floating around, but Pro Football Focus gave him the highest grade of any offensive lineman in the league for week 1.
Yeah.
And, that's really impressive, but we know the Giants don't have great pass rushers. Well, right. Ryan Kerrigan's great. So if he keeps it up this week, then it says a lot. So.
All right. Let's take a call. Actually, we got a call from Brandon in Kentucky. Brandon, what up?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
My question's kind of a future into the season question. I'm a big Madden player, so I'm always playing with the Cowboys and thinking of trades. What kind of trade could you see, realistic trade you could see this team making future into the season, maybe around the bye week, of a position that we might need to improve on?
Well,
thanks for the call.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think right now, you don't want to knock on wood here, but I think they're pretty good on most positions. It would have to take probably an injury or something like that to create a void where you're like, okay, maybe we need to go get some help. I just don't see where you have that right now. I'm not saying this team is perfect, but to go make a trade.
So it's hard to imagine. And look, it was just last year they traded for Amari, so
yeah,
anything's possible. But it doesn't seem like they have a need that's so desperate that they can't wait unless somebody got hurt. But maybe they could offload some talent if somebody else is desperate. This is a team with a lot of good offensive linemen. I wouldn't want to do it, but they got a lot of good cornerbacks too. Jordan Lewis has played so well. If somebody offered you something, what would somebody have to offer you for you to be like, okay?
Jordan Lewis?
Mm-hmm.
Third or higher.
Yeah,
third.
I agree.
What he was. Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like I'd rather just, and I'm even kind of, I'm a little iffy on the third, just because
I am through the roof with how good he looks.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fact that Byron's not under contract, Anthony Brown's not under contract, I don't really like the idea of getting rid of him. Right. But somebody gets desperate and really wants him, you always have to consider these things.
They would have to give me a second.
Right.
Nothing less.
I kind of think I'm with you. I'll change mine. I think I would go to second just because, like, again, you can never have enough good cornerbacks. We've seen seasons where it starts off where you got cornerbacks and all of a sudden a rash of injuries and then you're strapped.
Okay, so what if it was for Anthony Brown? A third-round pick for Anthony Brown.
I'd be more open to that.
Okay. So that being said, then as we're moving to the future here, when Brown's contract is going to be up here, I think you just say, "Hey, great pick, 6th round. Good luck to you. Move on." Right? Because if you're not taking anything better than a 2nd or 3rd for Jordan Lewis, then he's your 3rd cornerback next year. No doubt about it.
You can hopefully get a comp pick of some type for Anthony Brown if he doesn't re-sign here. It might not be a 3rd. It would have. I can't imagine him signing that big of a contract, but maybe a 5th.
Yeah.
Extra 5th round pick.
But it would have to be something that blew my socks off for any of them. I like the depth they got right now at cornerback. I wouldn't mess with that.
We've already discussed the possibility of trading Taco. I don't think you would get a big price for him, but
that's just about clearing a spot.
No,
opening a spot.
Yeah, for sure. It could happen.
It doesn't look like they're like, obviously, to make him a healthy scratch. When Robert Quinn comes back, to me he's the one that has the bullseye. And if you can get a 6th or 7th round pick for a guy that just doesn't seem like he just fits for you, then why not?
The Patriots got a 6th round pick for a guy that they had already cut. Like, they cut Demaryius Thomas. They're like, okay, we'll bring you back. You're a vested veteran. And then they got a 6th round pick for him a week later. So that would be nice.
Yeah. All right, let's take a call from Trey in Mississippi. Trey, what up?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
What's up?
I'm glad to be back listening to the award-winning Cowboys break.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that.
So I see a lot of fans kind of down about Tony Pollard's usage, and I think that they're saving that package or his package until we really need it. They're going to see how far we can get with just running what we're running and try to save some of those wrinkles because it's a marathon, not a sprint, of course. And I kind of feel the same about the D-line. We didn't get a lot of pressure last week, but correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like as we got our handle on the game, they kind of went a little more vanilla, and we're kind of just like, you beat your man, you beat your man. We'll save these exotic blitzes until we need them later on in the season so we don't put all this on tape so far. I'd just like to hear what you guys think about that. Hoping for a good win against Washington this week.
All right, thanks for the call.
I'll take the Pollard stuff. I mean, the first drive of the game was 3 and out maybe, or they had to punt, and then all of a sudden they score 5 in a row. And after that, the whole game's different. It's 35-10, and I mean, so what point? I just don't understand the Pollard stuff. I mean, that's just like, oh man, I wanted everything to be perfect because there really wasn't opportunities to kind of show that stuff. You didn't need it. You scored 5 touchdowns in a row. And when he did get in, the game was different. They were running it up the middle, and that's not his game, especially with some of the guys, backing up. So I don't know. I don't. Yeah, they may be saving it, but just at what point did they man, why isn't Pollard involved? I mean, they did everything they wanted to do.
Well, I didn't take the impression that the caller was saying that.
Not the caller, the fan. He's talking about the fans.
Yeah, I got
whoever is.
Yeah, he said people were upset that Pollard didn't get used more.
That's kind of irrelevant. But I
agree.
I kind of agree with him though that maybe there's more that they want to do with him that they didn't necessarily need to do in this game. And also they were really trying to not overuse Zeke as well. So he probably got a lot more reps at running back than he will get, I would assume. As we're 5-6 weeks into the season, barring an injury, he's going to get maybe half that number of reps at running back, I would guess. Right? Would you guys agree with that?
Zeke?
Yeah. No. Pollard.
Yeah.
Like, they won't be splitting carries. It won't be 13 and 13, right?
No, it'll
be. So there's other things I would assume that other ways that they will work him into the games, and I assume there are more of those kind of things that are to come down the road.
I would hope, and I just said, I mean, if he was healthy, I think Tavon would do more of that stuff right now, but hopefully it will incrementally increase as he gets more and more comfortable. I mean, I hate to disappoint the caller, Rod Marinelli's never been known for exotic blitzes. I mean, Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch are going to blitz from time to time. I don't think he's saving any. This isn't Rob Ryan where people are blitzing from 8 different spots. I mean, that's never been Rod's thing. But I do, like I said, I think you get to 35-10 in the second half, and you're like, all right, we're basically sort of going to play prevent and just make sure we're not giving up 60-yard plays. And the stats are skewed because of that. It's not an excuse. They do need to play better. They allowed way too much to the run, but yeah, like
I don't think they were trying to save anything. I don't think you go into a game with all your plays there lined up and thinking, oh no, we're gonna save this for.
Well, no, not going into the
whatever.
game, but once you take a 35-10 lead in the third quarter, you're just not gonna play the game the same way.
At that point, you're basically done what you were gonna do.
Right.
You know?
Well, I will say this though: after the game, when the media was interviewing Kellen Moore, he actually did say that he said, there were some things that we didn't have to show today. That we ended up being able to save for later.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the red zone.
Right, but no, my point is just there's schematic things that maybe they didn't have to show because they were able to use a certain part of their playbook and still be able to get success, and it didn't make them have to go through it didn't make them have to show everything that they're able to do, and that's just the nature of how you organize these games. Like, it's all based upon the matchup. You go into a game with a matchup. Your playbook may be a big, huge book, and you may take, a quarter of that and say, we think schematically, based on what we see this defense doing, these are the kind of plays that we think we're going to be using and what we're going to do to try to affect them. And the rest of our playbook, we know it. Our players know it. We can use it if we need to, but we don't think that's probably going to be a part of this particular game plan.
And it would never happen, like, in the media. Like, Kellen Moore's never going to let me report on that, but like, I would love to get a detailed understanding of the way that all works, because fans don't understand it. I definitely don't understand the whole thing, but like, Kellen Moore said something on Sunday that really struck me, where he was like, yeah, that play was one of our openers. Like, we designated it as something for the opening of the game, and we didn't get to it until like the third quarter. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, that's fascinating that like you're making these decisions just based on the looks you're seeing on the field, and 99.9% of us really can't even grasp that completely,
Yep.
I would love to talk to him for like 5 hours about how all that works.
Blue.
Ooh. Yeah, but again, like, why would he put that in the media?
They would never let us do that. But that would be a great great video, just to be able to dive a little deeper into how that all works.
Yeah.
I would be fascinated by it as well. All right, guys, we appreciate you joining us. We're back tomorrow. We'll get you guys ready for this game. We're going to tell you who's going to win. Nick will give you his predictions for the game. Dave will tell you what the score is going to be. And Amber will, I don't know, maybe do both. How about that?
Just sit here and stare at you guys.
Is tomorrow going to be your first one where you pick both teams, or are you going to wait and do that later?
I've never done that before.
Oh, okay.
I just don't like choosing a score.
I must be misremembering.
I pick a winner.
I feel like she picked both teams to win at least once last year.
We all picked the Giants last week, right?
Yeah.
That'll be the question tomorrow. Will we get a foursome that'll pick the Redskins? Pick the Cowboys over the Redskins? That'll be interesting.
Nobody picked the Giants, so you said it
No,
wrong.
we all got. I'm sorry. Yeah. We all picked the Cowboys last week.
Over the Giants.
Yes. Yeah. So it'll be interesting tomorrow to see if we get anybody to jump off the ship.
I'm not picking the Redskins to win the game.
Oh, you didn't have to say that. You could have waited till tomorrow.
Give it away. It's fine.
It's okay.
That's pretty obvious. I don't think anybody here.
Their cornerbacks are bad. Their defense is bad. everything. Look at it.
Their defense isn't bad. Their cornerbacks are bad.
All right, we appreciate you joining us. We're back tomorrow. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?